Hey. Mission Bay, man, damn. Made 1,000 100 times this month, not too bad. Camera a little blurry. I'm not a rapper, I'm a brand real CEO with it playing tennis with some techies in my Larry Jones sneakers. Numbers. First you gotta find your passion, then you stick. Man, what up and what's poppin'? It's your dog Breeze from Fahrenheit 451. Sorry about that. From the Fourth and Gold Network, we're burning the books alive. Just like this sun is burning me alive. It's a hot one out here, man. July 2nd, 4 Wnba games on the slate. We went 5-1 yesterday, which puts us on an 8-2 run in our last two videos. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First game on the slate is the Chicago Sky traveling to traveling to Atlanta to take on the Dream. Chicago are -1 on the spread. You can get to that -112 over at FanDuel. Over under is set to 158 even. -112 on the under. Excuse me, -112 on the over. -108 on the under. And the money line is Chicago -118 or Atlanta -104. So it's pretty much a pickup now. All right. Let's see here. Dreamer 6-9, Atlanta 6-9. It's pretty much who you like the most. Chicago 8-7 over and under. Atlanta 7-8 over or under. Pick them on the total. Pick them on the side. Myself personally, I like Atlanta to get it. I would like Atlanta to get it done at home. Tina Charles masterclass, right? Jordan Canada masterclass. That's what I like. But let me explain it to you even further. So, in this Atlanta game, I will officially be taking Tina Charles over her 14.5 points, -120 odds over at FanDuel. She's had 14 points or more in her last 6 straight games, cashing this line in her last 4 out of 6 games. 20, 24, 19, and 16 points in those 4 games. She's had 13 field goal attempts in her last 6 games and 22 points the last time that she played the Chicago Sky. In this one, I'm leaning. I might get there. I haven't took it yet. My baby, Angel Reese, over 12.5 rebounds. She plays for the Chicago Sky, -120 odds over at DraftKings. 14, 13, 18, 16, and 16 rebounds in her last 5 out of 6 games. 13 rebounds on the nose. Her last game versus the Atlanta Dream. The Atlanta Dream allows the second most defensive rebounds. I like that. I definitely like that for the prop, but I know Angel gets a lot of her rebounds on the offensive end. In this one, I will also be leaning Jordan Canada, as previously aforementioned, over her 5.5 assists, -125 over at MGM. She injured her hand earlier this season. She's just coming back. She had 6 and 9 assists in her last 2 games. 9 assists the last time that she played the Chicago Sky. This was last season as she was a member of the Los Angeles Sparks. She just got to drop that thing in a big Tina Charles 6 times, and then that's the easy money, easy cash, in my opinion. All right? I ain't going to hold y'all up too long. Let's go right to the next game. In the next game on the slate, we have the Minnesota Lynx taking on the New York Liberty at the Barclays Center. They're not going to be playing in the UBS Arena, how they were playing in Adriana Wagwanski. They're not going to be playing in the UBS Arena like they were playing the Commissioner's Cup. They will finally be at home. The Liberty are favored -4.5 in this game. You get that at -110. If you like the Lynx, you can get them +4.5, -110 as well. Over under is set to 168 even, and you can get the Lynx +176 on the money line, whereas the Liberty would be -220 on the money line. Liberty 11-8 over under. Minnesota 6-9 over under. So I have no feelings about that one. I definitely. All right. So first and foremost, Brazil in the house, man. What's going on, man? International Breeze, man. I love to see it. So first up, first and foremost, Sabrina Ionescu, she missed shoot around this morning. She's battling an illness, some type of cold she has. She had a cold after the last game, so she had a cold in the press conference, in the post-game press conference. Shout out to my dog Flo. So that's a line. That's something that I'll definitely be looking at. Without Sabrina, I like the Lynx even more, but I definitely like the Lynx plus the 4.5 for the simple fact is the Liberty have not beat the Lynx this season. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So in this one, I will be monitoring Sabrina Ionescu's if she's going to go or not. If she does go, I definitely love Jonquel Jones under her 14.5 points. This is going to be a lean. Jonquel Jones of the New York Liberty under her 14.5 points, minus 118 odds over at FanDuel. 4, 4, and 3 points in her last 3 games versus the Minnesota Lynx. 3 and 5 points in her last 2 games. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Appreciate the subscription, man. Let's get right to it. Let's make you some money. Yeah, Jonquel Jones is just, she struggles against this team, and she struggles getting in foul trouble. She struggles maintaining a level head. All those things work fantastically for the under. However, if Sabrina Ionescu doesn't go, I don't like this play that much. So for now, it will be a lean. Officially, I will be taking Breanna Stewart over her 20 points. You can get that at minus 125 over at Bet365. She's cashed this line in her last 3 straight games versus the Minnesota Lynx. I believe she had 38 in one of those. And she's hit this line in her last 4 out of 6 games. If Sabrina Ionescu doesn't play, so, Breanna Stewart has hit her points line in her last 8 out of 10 games without Sabrina in the lineup. I also lean her 10 rebounds. She's had 11 and 12 rebounds her last 2 games versus Minnesota. And she's had 11 rebounds in her she's had 11 and 12 rebounds in her last 2 games. She's had 11 rebounds in her last 3 straight games versus Minnesota. We talked about Sabrina Ionescu maybe not playing. She's hit this line in her last 7 out of 10 games without Sabrina Ionescu in the lineup. All right. Next up, we have the Indiana Fever traveling to the West Coast to take on the Las Vegas Aces. Aces are favored on the spread minus 13.5. You can get that at minus 112 over at FanDuel. Minus 112 over at FanDuel. You can get the Fever plus 13.5, minus 108. Over under is set to 178.5, minus 110 on both sides, and the money line is too ridiculous for me to even get into. However, if you do like the Fever to pull off a miracle, you can get them at plus 730 on the money line. All right. Indiana are 14-4 on the over under. Las Vegas are 8-6 on the over under. So I will be leaning the over in this game, the over 178.5, and I will be leaning the Las Vegas Aces. I'll be leaning the Las Vegas Aces minus the 13.5. Las Vegas Aces 10-0 in their last. Jorge Wagwanski. Vegas 10-0 in their last 10 matchups versus the Indiana Fever. All right. So in this game, I got a bunch of leans. I didn't take anything officially. I think I will get there with Nalissa Smith rebounds. Any added plays, they'll be in like the pinned comment, or they'll be over on Twitter. I'm at F4 FIDDY and the number 1 over at Twitter. Same as YouTube. All right, my leans for this Vegas game: Kelsey Plum of the Las Vegas Aces over 4.5 assists, minus 120 odds over at FanDuel. She's had 4 assists in her last 13 out of 16 games, 8, 5, and 8 assists in her last 3 out of 4 games, 7 assists in her last game versus the Indiana Fever, who allowed the 4th most assists. I'm also going to be leaning Kelsey Plum over her 3 threes, minus 130 over at DraftKings. She's hit this line in her last 2 out of 3 games, and she had 3 threes in her last game versus the Indiana Fever. That was back in May. My next lean, also from the Las Vegas Aces, is going to be A'ja Wilson under her 12 rebounds, minus 140 odds over at DraftKings. She's under in her last 7 out of 10 games and under in her last 3 out of 4 games versus the Indiana Fever. She did have 16 rebounds games, so it's slightly scary, but I mean, you know, the law of averages, and the cream always rises to the top is what I'm thinking. Next lean from the Indiana Fever, Kelsey Mitchell over her 3 3-pointers made, minus 102 odds over at FanDuel. She's cashed this line in her last 4 out of 5 games and in her last game versus the Las Vegas Aces. The Aces allow the first most 3-pointers made in the WNBA and also the most 3-pointer percentage. So Aces allowing the most threes in percentage. Kelsey Mitchell over her 3 threes. Heavy lean. Last but not least in that game, and Alyssa Smith of the Indiana Fever, plus 8 rebounds, minus 130 odds over at MGM. She's had 9 rebounds in her last 3 out of 4 games and 9 rebounds or more in her last 5 out of 6 games versus the Aces. The Aces give up the second most rebounds in the entire NBA. All right. Last but not least, we see the Washington Mystics traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Sparks. Sparks are favored -2 on the spread, -110 on over at FanDuel, or you can get Washington +2, -110. Over under set to 164 even. Sparks -134 on the money line. Mystics +110 on the money line. Washington 10-7 to the over under. LA 8-9 to the over under. Pretty much a pick 'em there. I definitely lean the under. 2 of the worst teams in the WNBA. As far as Mystics play everybody tough as shit, man. Mystics play everybody tough as shit. So I would definitely lean Mystics +2 on the spread. All right. In this game, this is the research I did on Julie Van Loo. So I lean her over her 6 assists as -15 odds. Pretty much across the board. She's cashed this line in her last 3 out of 5 games, and she had 9 assists the last time that she played the Sparks. Now, Julie Van Loo has also had 2 threes in her last 7 out of 9 games. You can get her 2 threes at -185 over at Bet365, which is utterly disgusting. But Lou hit her 2 threes in the last 7 out of 9 games, and she had 4 threes in the last game versus the Sparks. So I thought to myself, I said, So what I ended up doing is a little parlay. I took Julie Van Loo for 4 assists. She's had 4 assists in her last 16 out of 19 games, and I parlayed that with her 2 threes. And that comes to -126 over at FanDuel. Los Angeles Sparks also allow the most assists in the entire WNBA. So that is Julie Van Loo, 4 assists, parlayed with her 2 threes, and that comes to -126 over at FanDuel. That is an official play. Next, 2 leans for Ariel Atkins of the Washington Mystics. Ariel Atkins over her 4 assists, -130 over at MGM. She's had 7, 5, and 5 assists in her last 3, 4 assists in her last game versus the Los Angeles Sparks. And like I told you, the Sparks give up the most. The Sparks give up the most assists in the entire WNBA. Is that my boy? That's my boy, Daniel Berry. Wish happened. Also leaning Ariel Atkins under her 2 threes, -114 odds over at FanDuel. She's went under in her last 4 games straight. She's went under in her last 4 games straight versus the Los Angeles Sparks. So 2 leans that I'm liking are Ariel Atkins over her 4 assists and Ariel Atkins under her 2 threes. Heavy lean on Dearica Hamby over her 10 rebounds. That's +100 over at DraftKings. Dearica Hamby plays for the Los Angeles Sparks. Hamby 10 and 18 rebounds in her last 2 games versus the Washington Mystics. All right. My last but not least official play is going to be Steph Dolson, Big Mama Steph from the Washington Mystics over her 12.5 points, -120 over at Bet365. Definitely a ladder spot in my opinion. She's had 14, 16, 18, 18, and 23 points in her last 5 games straight. And I'll be leaning her over her 3 threes, -102 odds over at FanDuel. 4, 2, 4, 4, and 5 threes in her last 5 games. All right, so let me go ahead and recap this bad boy for y'all. For today, in the WNBA, July 2nd, where we have 4 games. My official plays today are as follows. Breanna Stewart of the New York Liberty over 20 points. Big Tina Charles of the Atlanta Dream over 15 points. Julie Van Loo of the Washington Mystics, 4 assists parlayed with her 2 threes. And last but not least, Big Mama Steph Dolson over her 12.5 points. My leans for today are Breanna Stewart, 10 rebounds. Jonquel Jones under 15 points. Angel Reese over 13 rebounds. Jordan Canada over 6 assists. Kelsey Plum over 5 assists. Kelsey Plum over 3 threes. Asia Wilson under 12 rebounds. Kelsey Mitchell over 3 threes. Nalissa Smith over 8 rebounds. Ariel Atkins over 4 assists. Ariel Atkins under 2 threes. De'Erica Hamby over 10 rebounds. And Big Mama Steph Dolson over her 3 threes. Like, comment, and subscribe for your daily sports betting videos and analysis. Let's keep burning them. As always, I will see you tomorrow. I might see you a little later with a nerfy napalm video. Parlays and builders will be over on Twitter. Don't meet me there, beat me there. We might start day 1 of a ladder challenge. Just check in with me a little later. We still have many hours until the game starts. With that being said, I'm about to get out of this hot ass sun, man. Love, peace, and fish grease. I'm out. Let's get this money.